Good evening, everyone. This is John Rollins, and it is Wednesday, and it is time for our weekly Strive session. Strive, strategies to remain informed, strategies to remain victorious, strategies to remain empowered. I hope that you had an amazing week. I'm really excited about how things are starting to shape up. Those of you who are the summer camp providers at the end of school, congratulations. School ended officially for you today. The teachers, thank you. Thank you for all the work that you've done. All the administrators, we're so grateful that you put up with our children, and for all of the young people who graduated and went to the next level in their educational pursuits. Congratulations to you as well for an outstanding year, given especially everything that you had to deal with. So I want to let you know that for those of you who pursued, we're proud of you. And those who didn't give your very best this year, maybe next year you start over and you do the very best that you can. All right. But good job on both parts. We're thankful for you, teachers and administrators and students. We got your back. We'll take care of you. All right. Hi, Cindy. How are you? Long time no see, my friend. I miss you. I see your post on social media different times. It's so good to hear from you. All right. Well, this is the Strive strategies to remain informed, strategies to remain victorious, strategies to remain empowered. And you all know every week when we do this, we try to come up with a thought, a topic that I hope will be of some value to someone. And so the topic today is look at look at who or what I found. Look at who or what I found. I'm gonna challenge some of you a little bit. How many of you used to play hide and seek? Hide and seek. Who were the good hiders or the good seekers? You had some people who they'll count and then they'll go and find everybody. And then you had another person where they'll count and maybe they didn't find anyone. Okay, but you used to play hide and seek, and maybe you were one of the people who was easy to find. You're the person who hid behind a tree. Maybe the tree was a little bit too small for you to hide behind, or maybe you hid behind the end of the car. You found that good space, and you hid behind the car. And you thought you had a good space, but everybody could look from across the yard and they could see your shoes sticking out under the car, and so that wasn't a good hiding place for you. So maybe you're one of those people who were easy to find, or maybe you were the kind of person who was hard to find. You were really creative, and you could come up with a place, and 30 minutes later they still hadn't found you. And so you say, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to peek and see if they're still out there. Maybe I can make it to the base. You step out, and you found out that everybody's already quit and they've already left. You still out there hiding. So maybe you were one of those people who found those really good spaces to hide. And whenever they found you, they celebrated. They celebrated. Oh, we found it. Look what we found. So, or maybe this relates to you. Maybe you were a person and you were having a conversation with a good friend, and you all were reflecting on someone that you hadn't seen for a long time. And you're thinking, you're asking, so have you talked to so and so? And they say, no, I haven't seen them in years. And they say, I wonder how they're doing. And you're just having that back and forth with a good friend. And then not long after that conversation, you are doing something, you're at some place where you would never have expected to find that person, and they show up. And you all exchange embraces and you all talk about some of the good times. And while you're in the presence of that person, you reach out to someone, the other friend that you're talking about, and you say, guess who I found? Look at who I found. Okay. So, look at who I found. Look at what I found. Um, this may be one that other people may be able to relate to. And I reference this because as the time between my birthdays seemed to go shorter and shorter, I've experienced occasions where I misplaced something that I needed. Okay. And after unsuccessfully searching for what seemed like forever to try to find it, I would finally get up, put my pride aside, and I go to the other people in the house and I say, hey, any of y'all seen my shoes, my pants, my shirt, my books, my binders? I'll go and ask questions. And without fail, most of the time the answer is no, I ain't seen it, not me. Okay. Well, I normally, so I have this, I think it's a joke. She may not think it's as much. And you all know I've already said I can't talk about my wife when I do these programs. You all know um, that's not something that she likes me to do. So I typically try not to talk about my wife when I do these things, but I do talk about the little lady that lives in my neighborhood. And if you know me well enough, you know there's a little lady that lives in my neighborhood. She has the same last name as me. Go figure. And she actually has an address just like mine. Go figure. She has the same number of children that I have. Can you believe that? So I can't talk about my wife, but there is this little lady that lives in my neighborhood, and so I can talk about her. All right. So, but anyway, I go and I say, "Hey, have you seen this?" And I always joke with her. I say, "I know you take my stuff and you hide it because you want to keep me dependent on you. And as soon as when you know that I've given up and I've lost frustration, you'll go and find it for me." And so I'll go and say, "Have you seen this?" And we'll kind of laugh back and forth. You know, I ain't mess with your stuff. You know, I ain't mess with your stuff. But a little bit later, guess what? She'll walk out the room with the thing. Hey, look what I found. And she'll hold up this thing. And so, but I know it's probably because of my, you know, my birthdays that I just forget where I put stuff. But there are so many things that there are times when maybe you misplaced something. And there are times when you misplace something and you know that you misplaced it. There was a time not that long ago, I came home from church one day and I drove the truck home. I drove the truck home. Okay, so you got to kind of understand how this is going to unfold. I drove the truck home, and typically when I come home, I bring my keys and I put them in a certain place. But this was a Sunday, and we're having dinner over at my place, and so I put my keys on my lunchbox because I had to go to work that night. So I got up at 9 o'clock, getting ready to leave the house to go to work, and my house keys are on my lunchbox. My family keys are on the lunchbox, but my truck key is not on my lunchbox. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I know I drove the truck home, so it's not like I locked. I didn't lock the keys in the truck because I used the keys to open the door. So I drove the truck home. I put my keys on my lunchbox, but my truck key is missing. And I looked for that key, and I looked for that key, and I asked my grandson, and I asked my nephews. We could not find that key. And I tell you, I probably looked for that key for months, easily months, and I never could find that key. And one day we had some people who were doing some work at our house, and underneath the house was the truck key. Now, I know, don't I'm not going to try to explain how it got underneath the house because I got out of the car, walked to the door, opened the door, put my keys down on the lunchbox, and I imagine that as I was opening the door, it must have come off the loop, fell under the house. And one day, some people were doing some work, and I came home, and my wife says, "Guess what we found? Look what we found." I said, "What?" She said, "I found the truck key." She said, "Where?" She said, "They found it when they were working on the house." So there's so many times that there are things that people will find, and we know it's lost, and we're grateful to the people when they find it. You say, "Well, John, what does this have to do with strive?" Okay, there are times when we know that we've lost something, or we know that we may be lost. Maybe you've been traveling and you're in an unfamiliar city or unfamiliar location, and you're looking around and nothing looks like it's supposed to look, and you know that you're lost. So there may be times when we've lost stuff, or we were lost, and we didn't know that we were lost. I remember one time we were traveling to up in New York. I was driving a van. I drove there and I drove back. But we were, and you might be familiar with this, but and we had a 15 passenger van, two 15 passenger vans, and there were some people who in the back of the van they slept while I was driving, and so there was one person who woke up, and I guess they maybe wait long enough to notice that we had gone around a certain place more than one time. And they had the nerve to ask, "Are we lost?" And so me, frustrated with the GPS, frustrated with the situation because we'd gone around several times, I responded. My response probably wasn't, it wasn't the best. It wasn't mean, but it probably wasn't the best. I said, "No, I'm not lost. I'm right here. I know where I am. Now, I may not be where I need to be, but I know where I am. I am not lost." Okay. But there may be some times, however, when we are lost. Okay. And I want to talk to you about this piece. This is the strive session. You may remember in the book, in the scriptures, the book that I read a lot, about someone going and they were waiting on the Messiah. They were waiting on the Messiah. And John the Baptist had been talking about it. And the book of John tells when they actually found Christ. And I think you have the story of Philip, who went to get no, Andrew. Andrew went to get Simon and said, "Hey, look, come and see who we found. I think we found the Messiah." And then you also had the story of Philip, who went to get Nathaniel. And Nathaniel had the nerve to say, "Can any good thing come out of Nazareth?" Okay. But they took someone to someone that they had found. They introduced someone who didn't know that they were lost, didn't know that they were in need of being found. But they took him to someone who they found and who was able to make a difference in their lives. And I believe that's what we should do. I've heard many, many years, I've heard this statement. It doesn't seem right for us to have the answer to a lot of the ills of society, a lot of the ills of humanity, for us to have the answer and not tell anybody about it. Okay. And I want you to know, I want you to know someone that I found. Okay. I found at the answer. I found the answer. Look at who I found. I found Jesus. Now he wasn't lost. And I probably think a better statement may not be look who I found, but look who found me. Look who found me. And I want you all to know as we do this Thrive session, I want you to know that there's hope for us. There are answers for us. I firmly believe with everything in me that every situation that we deal with, I believe that Jesus can give us in every situation that we deal with. I believe that Jesus can provide us an answer. Now, I must tell you, sometimes the answer that we get may not be the answer that we want. Maybe have somebody who come in, maybe your child comes and say, "Mommy, look what I found," and they bring something that's long and slender that bites. You may not want them to find that. Or you may have someone who find a friend that maybe you all were not on the best relationships, the best terms with. You may not want them to find that. Okay. But I do believe that when we find Christ, we find the answers to every situation that we deal with. And like I was saying, now we may not like all the answers, but I believe that every answer will help us to come to a better outcome. It requires faith, it requires trust, it requires belief, it requires even having a different perspective. Okay, but we have found the answer. And so for those of you, those of us who know, who have a personal relationship with Christ, don't hide it. Don't hide it. Don't keep it a secret. Go and tell other people, "Hey, look who I found." I've actually made a statement once. I have a friend, and you may have heard this, who was dying to meet you. Well, I have a friend who died to meet you. I want to introduce you to someone that I found. Right? I found peace. I found joy. I found contentment. I found happiness. And I found it in the person of Jesus the Christ, the Messiah, the Son of God. And I would love to introduce you to him. Hey, this is John with the Strive Session. Strategies to remain informed, strategies to remain victorious, strategies to remain empowered. And if you've gone throughout this week and you've not had someone to come into your life to speak to you, to affirm you, to build you up, to remind you of how awesome you are, to let you know that if you were not around, someone's world would not be as good as it is. I want to affirm your greatness. I want to remind you of your awesomeness. I want to let you know that today tomorrow and forever. Okay? You are important. And don't you ever forget it. All right. All right, guys. This is John. Y'all be blessed. Hopefully, see you next week. Bye.